My wife slept with my boss the night I was promoted, so I showed up to work with something she forgot. You never forget the moment you realize everything you loved was a lie. My wife told me she was proud of me. I'd just been promoted to VP at my firm after 10 years of grinding in silence. She kissed me on the cheek that night, smiled, and said she was going to visit her sister to celebrate quietly. But I knew something she didn't. The security cameras in my boss's building had just been upgraded. I installed them myself. And when I saw her heels walk into his office that night, everything changed. The next morning, I walked into the office, not with champagne, not with flowers, but with her wedding ring and a forwarded email chain she never thought I'd see. I'm Mark. Or at least, I was. I used to be the man who worked late, the one who never said no to a meeting, the one who volunteered to fix the copy machine even if it wasn't my job, just because no one else would. I was the guy people forgot to thank but always expected to stay, the reliable one. And I wore that label like a badge, because somewhere in the back of my mind I thought, if I gave the world everything, it would eventually give something back. Turns out, the world doesn't reward loyalty. It feeds off it. It was a Tuesday afternoon when it happened. I was in my office, the door closed, eyes dry from staring at spreadsheets that hadn't been updated since last quarter. I didn't expect anything. Promotions at our firm didn't come with marching bands. They were like backroom handshakes. Quiet, transactional. That's when my director Adrian knocked and asked to see me in the hallway. He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, a letter from the board. "Congratulations, Mark," it read. "You've been selected as the next Vice President of Human Resources." I just stared at it. Not even a well done from Adrian. Just a tight nod, a quick handshake, and back to his office. I'd been at Kearnswell and Blake for over a decade. I started as a low-tier recruiting analyst. I took the calls nobody wanted, sat through interviews that made me question humanity, ate lunch alone, skipped every Friday happy hour, and never complained when I was asked to cover just one more week of PTO for someone more important. And now, I was important. VP. 2 letters I'd chased for 10 years. I didn't cry. I didn't scream or high-five myself in the elevator. I just walked out of the building like any other Tuesday, got in my car, and started planning the dinner I'd never let myself dream about. I texted her on the drive home. "Hey, you free tonight? Thinking something fancy?" She responded instantly. "Wish I could. My sister's having a breakdown, going to her place for a few hours. Love you." I smiled. She always took care of people, even when she was tired. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with her. Still, I didn't tell her about the promotion. Not yet. I'd tell her tonight when she got back, or maybe tomorrow. Over dinner, wine, something soft. I wanted her to be surprised, happy. I wanted us to finally feel like we made it. When I got home, I could hear music playing. Soft jazz. She loved playing music when she was getting ready. Always said it made her feel like she was in a movie. I walked into the kitchen and froze. She was wearing the blue dress, backless, elegant, dangerous, the same one she wore the night we got engaged. I stood in the doorway for a second, just watching her fasten the last clasp of her bracelet. "Wow," I said, "you look amazing." She jumped slightly startled. "Oh hey, you're home early." "You heading to your sister's looking like that?" I teased. She laughed a little too hard. "Yeah, she needs cheering up." I figured dressing up might help her feel like things are normal. I raised an eyebrow. "You sure you don't want to go out instead? I could cancel my plans." No, you go relax. I'll be back later." I smiled, kissed her on the cheek. "Tell her I said hi." "Will do." She grabbed her purse, blue heels, wine-colored lipstick, and left. Set the table for 2 anyway. Old habits. Opened a bottle of red. Lit the small candle we usually reserved for special nights. She forgot her work phone on the counter. Buzz. Buzz. I ignored it at first. Then curiosity whispered in my ear. Just one look, one peek. The notification preview read, "Tell him it's your sister. He doesn't need to know where you really are." I froze. My hands trembled as I opened the lock screen. Password hadn't changed in years. The sender was saved as HR Guy John. That didn't make sense. There's no one by that name in our HR team. There's no one by that name in any department. I would know, because I'm head of HR. My stomach sank. I opened the chat. The thread went back weeks. Flirting, inside jokes, weekend plans, a hotel confirmation. You looked so hot in that blue dress last time. Wear it again tonight? You're lucky my husband's clueless. He's in love with his job, not me. He deserves it. For making you eat alone all those nights. You're so bad, I love it. Every word stabbed. I scrolled, screenshotted everything. Pulled out my laptop and logged into the security portal for our executive floor. We'd just finished upgrading it 2 weeks ago. I oversaw the entire process, chose the vendor, designed the layout, had master admin credentials, Suite 4602, managing partner's private office, my boss, Charles W. Blake. I loaded the camera feed, timestamp, 9:08 p.m. There she was, same blue dress, same heels, wine bottle in hand. He met her at the door. They embraced, kissed. She whispered something into his ear. He laughed. She stepped inside, then he locked the door. The camera caught everything. Not what happened inside the office because the blinds were closed, but everything else. The smiles, the comfort, the frequency. Because this wasn't the first time. There were 5 other clips from the past 3 weeks. I downloaded the footage, took screenshots, saved backups on 2 different drives. One on a hidden external SSD, the other in a cloud folder only I could access. I documented every message, every call log, every hotel receipt attached to her name. I wasn't panicking. I was preparing. The next morning I woke up early, made her pancakes, blueberries, maple syrup on the side, just like she liked. She walked in wearing her day-off robe, smiling. "Wow, this looks amazing," she said. "What's the occasion?" "Just felt like doing something nice," I said. She took a bite. "You're too good to me." "Yeah," I said. "I get that a lot." She didn't notice the subtle change in my tone, didn't notice the silence. Or maybe she did, but assumed it was stress. Later that afternoon, the company publicly announced my promotion. Emails, LinkedIn posts, applause. People I hadn't spoken to in years congratulated me. Even Charles, my boss, walked up and slapped my back. "Proud of you, Mark. You've earned it." "Thanks, sir." He smiled. "Let's celebrate next week. Just the leadership team. Some good wine. My treat. Looking forward to it." I shook his hand with the same hand I used to screen record the footage of him and my wife kissing in his office. That night she curled into me. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "I always knew you'd make it." I didn't respond. Just lay there, still, quiet. Her breathing slowed. She drifted off. I slowly lifted her left hand, slid the wedding ring off her finger, held it in my palm, closed my fist, and watched the shadows on the ceiling dance above us like ghosts of everything we used to be. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But that's not true. The best revenge isn't a dish, it's a room. A room you let them decorate, furnish, laugh inside. And then one day, you lock the door behind them and set it on fire. The first move I made wasn't emotional. It was calculated. On a quiet Wednesday afternoon, I stepped outside the office and dialed a number I'd never called before. Marissa Blake, my boss's wife. She didn't answer at first, but on the 3rd try she picked up. "Hello? Hi. I know this is strange, but I think you'll want to hear this. My name's Mark. I work with your husband." "Okay. I have proof he's been cheating on you with my wife." Silence. I waited. "I need more than your voice," she said coldly. "You'll have it in 10 minutes. I emailed everything, the messages, the videos, the security footage, even the calendar entries. 10 minutes later, she replied, "We need to meet." We met at a coffee shop halfway between her gallery and my office. She looked nothing like I expected. No designer bag, no iced latte, just jeans, a tight bun, and an iPad. She sat across from me like she was interviewing a candidate for execution. "How long?" she asked. 3 weeks of video footage, 6 weeks of messages." She nodded. Her hand didn't shake once. "They used our savings for that hotel," she said. I blinked. I didn't know that. You do now. What do you want to do? She took a sip of her tea. Let's ruin them. The next morning, Marissa filed a code of conduct complaint directly with the firm's ethics board. She used an anonymous alias. I helped her write the statement. She named him directly, described inappropriate relations with a subordinate spouse, and patterns of professional misconduct. She attached evidence, blurred her name. I forwarded the same footage internally under a different username, a dummy account no one could trace. Then I scheduled a private one-on-one meeting with Charles. His secretary asked if everything was okay. I smiled. Just a realignment conversation, totally normal. He came in late. His breath smelled faintly of scotch. Mark, the new VP, can't believe you're still doing floor check-ins like the rest of us. Old habits, I smiled. Hard to break. We went over superficial items, onboarding policies, contractor disputes, budget forecasting. Then just before he stood up to leave, I said, "One more thing." He turned. "Yeah? The new cameras, crazy resolution, right?" He blinked. His face barely twitched, but I saw it. Yeah, night and day. It's almost too clear, I said, pulling up a random video of our janitor wiping down doors at midnight. He forced a chuckle. "We gotta talk to IT about that. Makes me feel watched." "You are," I said. "We all are." He left 10 seconds later. That night I printed a still from the footage. Not a full scene, just a single moment. Her in the blue dress. Smiling. Hand on his shoulder. His mouth an inch from hers. I left it on her pillow. No note, no words. I watched her find it when she came to bed. Her entire body froze. "What is this?" she asked, voice cracking. I didn't reply. "It's not what it looks like. We talked. That's all." I turned off the lamp, rolled over and let the silence answer her. She slept on the couch. 2 days later, Charles didn't show up to work. Then the internal email came. "The board has placed Charles Blake on temporary administrative leave, pending a review of potential conduct violations," people whispered. I said nothing. I let the whispers grow into rumors, and the rumors grow into assumptions. No one asked me directly. They all just suspected. He tried to call me twice. I ignored both. Marissa said she'd filed for separation. The firm's lawyers were involved. She was going to clean him out. Without Charles, there was a power vacuum. The board scrambled. They asked me to step in, temporarily, to oversee a few of his executive projects while they figured things out. I accepted. Quietly. I was careful not to gloat. I moved into a side office, not his. People praised my humility. But I had no intention of staying humble forever. At home, she started trying again. She cleaned, cooked, laughed too hard at my jokes. One night, she came to bed wearing the same lingerie she wore on our wedding night. "Do you remember this?" she asked softly. "Vaguely. Can we talk?" "About what?" "About us." I got up, grabbed a spare blanket, and went to sleep in the guest room. She sobbed through the walls. I didn't feel a thing. Over the next 2 weeks, I prepped my exit. I moved half our savings to a private account. I spoke to a lawyer, filed paperwork, scheduled a private therapy appointment to document emotional distress and breach of marital trust. I knew what I was doing. In my state, that meant I'd get the house, the assets, most of the savings. She'd walked right into the trap. All I had to do now was shut the door. There's something strange about watching someone self-destruct without ever realizing you handed them the match. After filing for divorce, I didn't move out. Neither did she. We were two ghosts circling the same floor plan, bumping into each other in the kitchen, pretending the silence was just busy weeks. She tried to act like we were okay. I let her. I let her believe I needed space. I let her think the door might still be open. But every night, I logged her location history. I checked her emails, browser cache, deleted texts. She thought I was checked out, but I was checking in on every move she made. The affair leaked, not because of me, but because the firm launched an internal review. Her name came up more than once. People talk, especially in offices like ours. Her friend group, the one she always had brunch with, stopped messaging her. She asked me if I had said something. No, I lied. I didn't need to. She made herself obvious. One of her co-workers even called me privately. I'm sorry, Mark, I had no idea. We all saw the way he looked at her, but we figured it was one-sided. I didn't respond. There was no need. My former boss, Charles Blake, was a memory now. But memories linger in walls. I still saw his name on documents, email chains, archived Slack messages. His access had been revoked, but the stain was there. Rumor was he'd tried to spin it. Said it was a harmless flirtation. Blamed me for spying, didn't matter. The board didn't just fire him. They blacklisted him. Marissa made sure of it. She wasn't looking for closure. She was looking for scorched earth. It was a rainy Saturday when she finally broke. She came into my home office wearing an old hoodie and no makeup. For the first time in weeks, she looked like herself again. Not the version she performed. The version I married. "Can we talk?" she said. I paused. "I'm listening." She sat down, slow, like the chair might collapse beneath the weight of what she wanted to say. "I messed up. I know that. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need to say it out loud." I said nothing. She continued. "It wasn't about him. I wasn't in love with him. I felt invisible. You were always working, always chasing something. I didn't feel chosen anymore." I nodded slowly. "That may be true," I said, "but you chose silence over honesty, and lies over discomfort." She wiped her eyes. "I lost you, didn't I?" I didn't answer. I just opened my drawer and placed the divorce papers in front of her. "You can sign here or not. Either way, this is where the story ends for us." She stared at the papers for a long time. "You don't hate me?" she whispered. "No," I said. "Then why are you doing this?" "Because I used to love you enough for both of us, and now I love myself more than what we used to be." 2 weeks later, she moved out. No ceremony, no goodbye kiss, just a gray duffel bag, a box of shoes, and an awkward final look at the living room. I watched from the window as she drove away. I didn't feel relief, didn't feel revenge. I felt done. The board called me in on a Monday. We sat at the long oak conference table, 12 seats, one missing. Charles's. "Mark," they said, "you've demonstrated exceptional leadership, discretion, and resilience during a very delicate situation." They slid a folder toward me. Inside, a contract. "Senior Executive Director of Global Operations." My signature line, my budget, my name in the same spot his used to be. "We'd like you to take his place, officially." "I accept," I said. That night I found an envelope addressed to me on the kitchen counter. It was written in her handwriting. No stamp, no return address. Just, "Mark, in case I never get to say this in person." I didn't open it. I lit a match, watched it burn in the sink. I didn't need to hear what she had to say. 3 days later, Marissa and I crossed paths again. Boardroom, 3rd floor, quarterly budget review. She nodded. I nodded back. Nothing romantic, nothing weird. Just 2 survivors standing on the ashes of a fire we didn't start, but damn sure finished. Some people want a confrontation. They want the screaming, the fists, the fireworks, but not me. I wanted silence. I wanted control. I wanted them to fall apart on their own, knowing I'd watched them do it. 2 months after she left, I got an email titled, "Annual Kernswell and Blake Executive Gala, RSVP required." It was our firm's biggest event of the year. Champagne, black ties, high society handshakes, the kind of night where photos ended up in industry magazines, where the CEO made speeches and future partnerships were formed over crystal flutes of vintage scotch. In other years, I had always attended as the forgettable guy on the sidelines. This year, I was delivering the closing speech. 2 weeks before the gala, the internal email went out. "Mark Holloway will be delivering the executive closing keynote this year, highlighting our cultural shift and ethical transformation." Cultural shift. That was code for, after our former managing partner got caught sleeping with his subordinate's wife and was quietly fired by the board. No one dared say it out loud, but everyone knew. People looked at me differently now. Not with pity, with curiosity. The week before the gala, I got a tailored suit. Not a rental, not off the rack. Bespoke. Charcoal gray, midnight lining, custom cuffs, a single monogram on the inside pocket. MH, last man standing. I'd lost 15 pounds. My face was sharper, my jaw more set. Not because I was trying to bounce back, because I'd finally cut the weight of pretending everything was okay. A week before the event, I got a text from a number I hadn't saved. Hey, I was wondering, would it be inappropriate if I came to the gala? I mean, we used to attend together. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then replied, yes, it would be very inappropriate. She didn't message again. The day of the gala, I arrived early, checked the mic, reviewed my speech, and then I saw her. Marissa Blake, now the firm's Ethics Oversight Committee chair, dressed in black velvet, hair up, no smile. She walked over to me with the calm of someone who had burned her past to ash and walked barefoot over the remains. Ready to close the book? She said. Can't wait. We nodded like old allies. And then she handed me a small black USB stick. I thought you might want this. Charles tried to delete some of the older security files before he left. I recovered one you haven't seen. What is it? The first time she ever visited his office. A month before you saw it. The night she told you she was out with her friend Jenna. I nodded. Thanks, but I don't need it anymore. I handed the drive back. Marissa looked at me, not confused, but almost impressed. You've already won, haven't you? I didn't need to win, I said. I just needed to stop losing. The room buzzed with suits and sequins, jazz trio in the corner, clinking glassware, strategic laughter. I stood off to the side as 3 partners gave their boilerplate speeches. Then my name was called. To close the evening, we welcome Executive Director Mark Holloway. Applause. Not thunderous, but real. I stepped onto the stage, adjusted the mic, and looked out at the crowd. Good evening. I was asked to speak about leadership, about what it means to survive uncertainty and turn it into strength. I paused, scanned the room. But I want to talk about something else tonight. I want to talk about betrayal. Silence. Every fork froze midair. Betrayal doesn't always look like knives or bullets. Sometimes it looks like smiles and polite emails, like closed doors and unchecked power. People shifted in their seats. I learned that betrayal doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits, it watches, it collects interest while you're busy trying to do the right thing. I looked directly at the partners' table, where Charles once sat. I was betrayed by the people closest to me, people I believed in. But I didn't scream, I didn't beg, I didn't burn the building down. I listened, I waited, I adapted. And that's what leadership is. Not noise, not ego, just clarity. Applause started slowly. Grew. Thank you, not just for being here, boss, but for proving that no matter how powerful the lie, the truth always shows up in the end. I stepped back, clapped, smiled, then left the stage without looking back. That night when I got home, I pulled out a padded envelope I had prepped months ago. Inside, her wedding ring, a copy of the divorce decree, a USB flash drive, and a folded letter that said, "This is what silence looks like when it's done right." I mailed it the next morning. She never replied. He tried to sue me. His lawyer sent a letter demanding compensation for character defamation and internal sabotage. We settled it in arbitration. His complaint was dismissed in under 10 minutes. The mediator actually laughed. What he didn't know? The board already knew the full story. They were just waiting for me to finish tying the knot. Marissa watched from the back of the courtroom. We didn't speak, but I saw her mouth the words, "Checkmate." 2 weeks later, I was officially given the title, Executive Managing Partner. I was now sitting in the very same office where it all happened. Same windows, same oak desk, same leather chair. I had the place remodeled, removed the couch, burned the rug. hung a new painting above the wall safe, not because I needed it, but because he loved that damn safe. It was his trophy chest. Now it was my blank canvas. One morning, my assistant brought me a letter. No return address. Inside, a photograph of her, my ex-wife. Smiling, but not really. Standing in front of a one-bedroom apartment with a for lease sign in the window behind her. On the back, it read, "I'm rebuilding. It's not much, but it's mine." I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty. Just peace. At the next board meeting, Marissa passed me in the hall. She stopped, turned back, and said, "You know, I don't think revenge is what this was for you." I tilted my head. No, I think this was resurrection." She smiled, walked away. Strange. The end of something doesn't always feel like an explosion. Sometimes it's a whisper, a quiet morning when you wake up, and there's nothing left to say. After everything, the divorce, the demotion, the gala, I thought I'd feel something more dramatic, relief, triumph, anger, euphoria. But all I felt was stillness, the kind of silence you hear after a thunderstorm, when all the air's been wrung dry and the sky just holds its breath. I was alone, in a clean apartment, in a city that kept moving without me. And for the first time in years, I didn't want to check my phone. There were no trackers, no alerts, no hidden apps to dig through or call logs to decode. Just coffee and quiet. One night, I was cleaning out an old email folder and found a draft, saved in my ex-wife's name. A draft she must have started but never sent. It read, "I wanted to say thank you, but that feels too small. You didn't just walk away from me. You walked away from the version of me that didn't deserve you. I'm not angry. I'm not even sad anymore. I just understand." I stared at the screen for a long time, then clicked archive. Didn't delete it, didn't forward it, just let it sit there quietly, where it couldn't do any more harm. Eventually, I started seeing someone. Nothing serious. Not at first. She was kind, smart, not too curious about my past, but didn't avoid it either. We took things slow. One day while we were walking through the park, she said, "You don't talk about your ex much." "Not much to say," I replied. "Did it end badly?" I paused. No, it ended exactly the way it needed to. She didn't press, just squeezed my hand, and we kept walking. One afternoon, I got an invitation in the mail. Marissa. She was remarrying, simple card, no fluff, elegant script. Her new husband, a landscape architect. She included a handwritten note. "No pressure to come, but I wanted you to know I found peace, and I hope you have too." I didn't RSVP, but I smiled, because I knew what peace really looked like. My office doesn't feel like his anymore. The walls are different. The chair is mine. There are no secrets behind the desk, just books, files, and a single framed quote that sits beside my nameplate. When they show you who they are, walk away before they think you didn't believe them. There's a blank photo frame on my shelf. People always ask, what's supposed to go in there? I say, nothing. They laugh, but I'm serious. That blank frame, it reminds me that not every moment needs to be captured. Some memories are better off unlived. You probably expected fire, screaming, cops, violence, a public meltdown. But that's not how life works. That's not how healing works. Real revenge is quiet. It's composed. It doesn't break things. It just lets them fall. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting back to yourself. And when I finally got there, I didn't even need to look back.